Hey everyone, it's Kobe. I'm just editing this video and I've decided I'm going to split it into two parts because I go into quite a lot of detail about all the different topics and I think the videos will do better overall if I spread them out. And there will of course be timestamps in the description and in the comments. You're watching part 1 and part 2 will be coming very soon. All of my videos are available early on Patreon. Part 1 and part 2 are already there. Thank you to everyone for supporting me and a shout out to Faith Gray for being my first Patreon. There's a whole host of different things available on my Patreon. The link is down below. Check it out if you're interested. Today I'd like to do something a little different and dive into 5 of the most important lessons that I have learned from this year and in general whilst doing music and all things creative. This is certainly not an exhaustive list and I'd love to dive into more of these concepts and lessons in the future, especially if you find this type of video valuable, so if you do, please do let me know down below. I'd like to preface this with firstly a thank you to all of you who have been following and engaging with me over this last year. All that I've been able to do with this channel and with the music over this year has been such a blessing in what has been such a strange and tumultuous year for everybody. The most important thing before these other 5 points is just that you, your friends and family are all well and that you are making the most out of what is, because this year has certainly shown us that you can never really predict what's going to happen. The first of the 5 points is self-belief. And I mean self-belief on a visceral level, to the point where it is almost delusional. For a long time I felt like I believed in myself and that I could do whatever I put my mind to, but there was actually a large part of my subconscious that was holding on to beliefs that were full of limitation and of doubt. And those are still there. I certainly haven't mastered this or any of the 5 points. It's always a work in progress. But the key point here being that your subconscious identity, the story that you are telling yourself, will certainly define the limits of your ability and your growth a lot more than your actual true limits will. So I find it really helpful to dive into what I actually believe about myself and why, and whether it's actually true. Then allowing myself to really believe that I can be the singer, the musician, the creator, the artist that I would like to be. The first step in that process is to call yourself that. One of the key points in a Mary Spender video about how to get better at playing the guitar was to call yourself a guitarist.
5. Call yourself a guitarist as soon as you start learning to play.
And this would apply to whatever your craft is. If you're a producer, call yourself a producer. If you're a singer, call yourself a singer. It seems trivial and too simple, but it's actually very powerful and easily overlooked. There's a fear that is attached to giving yourself that name because you would think that it's a level-based status, that you have to have developed or reached a certain level of skill before you qualify to call yourself that name. But if you are doing music production, then you are a producer. If you are singing, then you are a singer. No matter how good or bad you are. Try it and tell me how it feels inside. There is an inner smile and outer smile that often happens when you allow yourself to believe that you are that thing. One of the toughest obstacles towards self-belief is criticism. Criticism can be really helpful, especially if it's constructive, but it's only worth listening to the people who are in the roots, working on the same things that you are, who have gone through the path that you are also trying to go through and have learned the things that have helped them improve. Your closest friends and family may be some of your worst or most harsh critics. Some complete strangers who you've never met will be your biggest fans. And as Peter McKinnon said in his recent video, it's so much easier
to criticize than it is to create. And if the goal here is to inspire, to move people, to make something that's worth it.
You also have to believe that you can change, that you can improve. If you have a mindset that says that I have reached a certain skill level and I'm just not going to get any better because I can't, then that's exactly what will happen. Whereas if you've told yourself, I can get better, I will get better, and I can get better quickly, then that's also what will happen. So the idea of being yourself comes up a lot, especially in challenging situations where people are unsure of how to behave. People often just say, oh, just be yourself. And I found that there are severe limitations to the concept of being yourself. I think it only makes sense to be yourself if the self that you currently embody is the one that you are aiming to be. Now, stay with me here, it might get a little confusing, but to me, the self that I am happy with is the self that is evolving and changing. It's a bit of a meta perspective on the self. So the self is always there, but the characteristics or qualities of the self are changing, and that at each stage along the way, it's perfectly fine. And you need that malleability to become something that you would like to be. Otherwise, you will just stay exactly where you are. And the final point on self-belief self-belief is using empathetic development. This sounds a lot more technical than it actually is. All that it means is allowing yourself to feel the way that people you aspire to be like would feel when they are doing their profession. The perfect example is singing. If you have fear and doubt within you saying, I'm not going to be able to hit that note, I'm not going to be able to sound the way that I would like to sound, your body will represent that, and that is how you will sound. It's a little bit of fake it till you make it. You're not faking the authentic feeling. If you're singing a high note that is a song deeply based in a lot of strong and powerful emotions, then connecting to those strong and powerful emotions will come through in that note. And it's the same when you're producing, when you're playing an instrument. You want to try and get into the mindset of the people that you aspire to be like, and this will of course develop over time. There will be that little spark where you did something that surprised yourself, where you go, oh, I didn't know I could sound that good. I didn't know that I could make something that I like that much. But the first step to making that happen is believing that it will, acting as if you were already there. Summarized very simply, believe in yourself. I believe in you. Now it's your turn. The second point that goes hand in hand with self-belief is self-honesty. And in some ways, it balances the self-belief. Where on one hand, you've got outrageous, almost delusional self-belief. On the other hand, you also have outrageous self-honesty. This prevents you getting ahead of yourself. And one of the key parts of this is with your daily routine, with your practices, with self-help in general. There are so many techniques recommended by everybody to try and improve yourself. Cold showers, meditation, checklists, getting up really early, habit checkers, certain diets, certain daily routines that all of the best billionaires have. These things do work if they work for you. They can also do the polar opposite of what they're designed to and become a distraction. You're just filling your time and using up your willpower doing challenging tasks for the sake of saying that it's being productive. And the self-honesty comes in when you ask yourself the question, is this actually helping me achieve my goal? For example, I have a whiteboard in my studio and sometimes I use it, but I don't use it religiously every day because sometimes I go, okay, I know I have that task to do and I'm going to do it either right now or in 5, 10, 15 minutes. So there's no point in writing it down on the board because I'm just going to get it done. And I don't feel I need that validation of writing it down on the board and then crossing it out, because it just takes time writing it down. Whereas if it's something that I know I'll forget, then I will write it down. I've also tried loads of different techniques for developing productivity, improving sleep, improving diet, and I would definitely recommend testing all of these things. The key part being is filtering it all down to the ones that really work. So I now have a toolkit of techniques that I apply when I actually feel I need them. So I can meditate if it feels right. I can use cold showers and do some breath work if it feels right. I can wake up early if I feel that I need to get going in that day, but I can also sleep in if I've done a lot of work the last couple days and my body is calling for more rest. It requires developing sensitive and effective self-honesty. This self-honesty also applies to your craft. Be honest with your skill level. Do you actually understand the basics? Have you done enough practice? Whether that's mixing, music theory, singing, all of those things, I had to dive back in deeper into the basics, and I found that it's helped me enormously, but it required me being honest and going, actually, I have no idea how my vocal cords actually work. All I know is that I open my mouth and they make a noise. Or I don't know what a compressor actually does to an audio signal, or what sounds the different frequencies on a parametric EQ represent. Because there's an ego that can creep in that goes, oh yeah, I know how those things work, or yeah, I learned that ages ago. One of those things that I'm working on right now is learning all of the notes on the guitar fretboard. I can make my way around and I can find different chords, but I don't know what every note is at a moment's notice. So I've been diving back in to try and learn the basic notes on the fretboard so that in a single second I can play an A anywhere on the guitar, the same way that I can with the piano currently. That inner dialogue can be so sneaky, and so mastering it is really important. It can be the thing that's telling you that you're not good enough, that you've done enough work for today and that that's all you've got to give, or that you've mastered something and that it doesn't need any more work. Mastering that self-honesty requires practice and development. It won't just suddenly click and you will just be perfectly honest with yourself all the time. You have to harness the power of your intuition, your gut, and it's something that, like practicing an instrument, will develop the more that you do of it. I always find it helpful just to keep at the peripheral of my mind so that when I'm getting to the checkpoint of working on something or practicing something, I will go, okay, be honest with yourself. Are you happy with that? Does it need more work? Will you come back to it? And it's helped massively.
Burning inferno.
Thanks very much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any other questions or anything else you'd like me to talk about, just leave it down below in the comments or send me a message on my Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. And I'm wishing everyone the best heading into 2021.
Blinding gold.